Growing up, I was always captivated by tales of ancient times and legends that transcended generations. My fascination led me to pursue a career in historical research, a path that eventually brought me to a quaint, dusty library in the heart of Europe. This library, nestled in a cobblestone alleyway, was a treasure trove of forgotten knowledge, housing volumes that had not seen the light of day for centuries. One particularly overcast afternoon, as rain drizzled against the tall, narrow windows, I was methodically cataloging a collection of old texts. The air was thick with the musty scent of aged paper, and the only sounds were the gentle rustle of pages and the occasional creak of the wooden floorboards. It was then that I stumbled upon a manuscript that seemed out of place among the other books. The cover was worn, its leather binding cracked and faded, yet it exuded an aura of mystery that was impossible to ignore. The title, The Lost Book of Adam and Eve, was inscribed in a script that was both archaic and elegant. My heart skipped a beat as I gently opened the cover, revealing pages filled with intricate illustrations and densely packed text. This was not merely an alternative telling of the biblical story. It was something far more profound and enigmatic. As I delved deeper into the manuscript, I noticed that it was imbued with layers of meaning. The illustrations depicted scenes of a world both familiar and alien, blending elements of known history with fantastical imagery. Each page seemed to whisper secrets of a forgotten past, urging me to uncover the truth hidden within its lines. I spent hours absorbed in the text, losing track of time as the rain continued to patter against the windows. The library's dim lighting cast shadows that danced across the pages, adding to the manuscript's mystique. It was as if the book itself was alive, beckoning me to unravel its mysteries. That evening, as the library was closing, I reluctantly closed the manuscript and carefully placed it back on the shelf. I knew I had stumbled upon something extraordinary, a piece of history that had been lost to time. My mind raced with possibilities, and I resolved to return the next day to continue my exploration. The next morning, I arrived at the library early, eager to resume my study of the manuscript. As I sat at my usual desk, surrounded by stacks of books and notes, I felt a sense of anticipation. I was on the brink of a discovery that could redefine our understanding of history. As I turned the pages, I began to notice patterns and symbols that hinted at a deeper meaning. The text was interspersed with cryptic passages, written in a language I could not fully comprehend. It was clear that deciphering this manuscript would require more than just my expertise. I decided to enlist the help of a colleague, Emily, who was an expert in ancient languages. Over coffee in the library's small reading room, I shared my findings with her. Her eyes widened with excitement as she examined the manuscript, and she agreed to assist me in unraveling its secrets. "This is incredible," Emily said, her voice filled with awe. "I've never seen anything like it. If we can decode this, it could be groundbreaking." Together, we embarked on a journey to decode the manuscript, piecing together clues and unraveling the layers of meaning hidden within its pages. Each discovery led to more questions, and we found ourselves drawn deeper into a mystery that spanned centuries. As the days turned into weeks, our research consumed us. We spent countless hours in the library, surrounded by books and notes, our minds racing with possibilities. The manuscript had become an obsession, a puzzle that demanded to be solved. Through our efforts, we began to uncover fragments of a story that challenged everything we thought we knew about the origins of humanity. The manuscript hinted at a secret history, one that had been deliberately obscured and hidden from the world. Our work was far from over, but we were determined to see it through. We had discovered something extraordinary, and we knew that the implications of our findings could be immense. The Lost Book of Adam and Eve held a secret that could change the course of history, and we were on the brink of bringing it to light. The discovery of the Lost Book of Adam and Eve was just the beginning. With Emily's expertise in ancient languages, we embarked on the challenging task of deciphering the manuscript's cryptic contents. Each page was filled with symbols and codes that seemed to guard a profound secret, one that could potentially alter the very fabric of human history. Our initial attempts at translation were met with frustration. The text was written in a mixture of archaic languages, some of which were long forgotten. However, Emily's knowledge was vast, and she approached the task with a meticulous precision that was both inspiring and reassuring. She spent hours cross-referencing ancient scripts, often working late into the night under the dim glow of a desk lamp. "This section here," Emily pointed out one afternoon, her finger tracing a line of indecipherable script. "It seems to reference a significant event, but the language is unlike anything I've seen before." I leaned over, studying the symbols. "Do you think it's a code? Something deliberately obscured?" Emily nodded thoughtfully. "It's possible. Whoever wrote this didn't want the information to be easily accessible. We might need to approach this like a puzzle." Our breakthrough came unexpectedly. One evening, as we pored over the manuscript, Emily suddenly sat up straight, her eyes wide with excitement. "I think I found something. This pattern here. It matches a cipher used in the early centuries, one that was often employed by secret societies." My heart raced as we began to apply the cipher to the text. Slowly, the symbols transformed into words, revealing fragments of a narrative that was both astonishing and unsettling. The manuscript spoke of a hidden history, one that suggested an alternative account of the origins of humanity. As we translated more of the text, a picture began to emerge. The manuscript described events that were both familiar and alien, blending myth with reality. It hinted at a time when the boundaries between the divine and the mortal were blurred, and it suggested that the story of Adam and Eve was far more complex than we had ever imagined. One passage in particular caught our attention. It alluded to a great division, a cataclysmic event that had been witnessed by the first humans. This event, according to the manuscript, was the true beginning of human history, a moment that had been deliberately hidden from the annals of time. Emily and I exchanged a glance, the weight of our discovery sinking in. "If this is true," I said slowly, "it could change everything we know about our past. But why would this be hidden?" Emily shrugged, her expression a mix of wonder and apprehension. "Perhaps because the truth was too dangerous or too powerful. If this knowledge fell into the wrong hands." Her voice trailed off, but we both understood the implications. The manuscript was more than just a historical curiosity. It was a key to a secret that could reshape the world. As we continued our work, we became increasingly aware of the enormity of our task. Each decoded passage revealed more of the enigma, but also raised new questions. The manuscript seemed to be a living thing, its secrets unfolding in layers that demanded to be understood. We spent countless hours in the library, our desks cluttered with books, notes, and translation tools. The world outside faded away as we immersed ourselves in the mystery of the manuscript. Our obsession grew, fueled by the tantalizing glimpses of a hidden truth that lay just beyond our grasp. Despite the challenges, we were driven by a shared sense of purpose. We knew that we were on the brink of a discovery that could alter the course of history, and we were determined to see it through. The lost book of Adam and Eve held a secret that had been hidden for centuries, and we were resolved to bring it to light. As the weeks passed, our progress was slow but steady. We uncovered more of the manuscript's secrets, each revelation more astonishing than the last. The enigma was vast, and we were only beginning to understand its full significance. Our work was far from over, but we were undeterred. We had embarked on a journey that would challenge everything we knew, and we were ready to face whatever lay ahead. The lost book of Adam and Eve had opened a door to the past, and we were determined to walk through it. As Emily and I delved deeper into the manuscript's secrets, the sense of urgency and danger grew more palpable. It began subtly, with a feeling of being watched, a prickling sensation at the back of my neck whenever I left the library. At first, I dismissed it as paranoia, a byproduct of the intense focus and long hours we were investing. But soon, it became impossible to ignore. One evening, as I was leaving the library, I noticed a figure standing across the street, partially hidden in the shadows. The street lamp cast a dim glow, enough to see that the person was watching me intently. I quickened my pace, my heart pounding in my chest, and ducked into a nearby cafe, hoping to lose them. From the window, I watched as the figure lingered for a moment before melting back into the darkness. The next morning, I recounted the incident to Emily as we sat in our usual corner of the library, her brow furrowed with concern. Do you think it has something to do with the manuscript? I can't be sure, I replied, trying to sound more confident than I felt. But we should be cautious. This isn't just a curiosity anymore. It's something people might not want us to uncover. Emily nodded, her expression serious. We should be careful, but we can't let it stop us. We're on the verge of something incredible. Despite the unease, we pressed on with our work. However, the feeling of being followed persisted. Anonymous phone calls began to interrupt our evenings, the voice on the other end never speaking, just breathing heavily before hanging up. It was unsettling, and it was clear that someone wanted us to stop. One afternoon, as we were engrossed in our research, the library's phone rang. The librarian, an elderly gentleman named Mr. Thompson, answered it. After a brief conversation, he approached us, his face lined with worry. That was the police, he said quietly. They've received reports of suspicious activity around the library. Emily and I exchanged a glance, the implications clear. Do they know who it is? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Mr. Thompson shook his head. No, but they advised caution. If you notice anything unusual, you should report it immediately. After he left, Emily turned to me, her eyes filled with determination. We can't let this scare us. We're too close to the truth. I agreed, though the fear gnawed at me. We were walking a dangerous path, but the manuscript's secrets were too important to abandon. We decided to take turns watching each other's backs, ensuring that neither of us was alone at any time. Our vigilance paid off one evening when Emily noticed a familiar figure lingering near the library entrance. That's the same person you saw before, she whispered, her voice barely audible. We decided to confront the stranger, stepping out into the cool evening air together. As we approached, the figure turned and began to walk away quickly. We followed, our footsteps echoing in the quiet street. But before we could catch up, the person slipped into an alleyway and disappeared. Breathless and frustrated, we returned to the library. The encounter had only heightened our resolve. Whoever was trying to intimidate us clearly didn't want the manuscript's secrets revealed. This knowledge only fueled our determination to continue. In the following weeks, the sense of being pursued intensified. We noticed unfamiliar cars parked near our homes, and strangers seemed to appear wherever we went. Yet, despite the growing threat, we refused to be deterred. The manuscript's revelations were too significant to abandon. Our work continued, each day bringing us closer to uncovering the full extent of the manuscript's secrets. We were aware of the risks, but we were driven by a shared commitment to the truth. The lost book of Adam and Eve held a secret that could change the world, and we were determined to see it through to the end. As we navigated this dangerous path, we found strength in our partnership. Emily's unwavering support and expertise were invaluable, and together, we faced each new challenge with courage and resolve. The pursuit was relentless, but so was our determination. We were on the cusp of a discovery that could alter history, and we would not be silenced. After months of painstaking work, deciphering codes, and enduring the relentless pursuit of unknown adversaries, Emily and I finally reached a breakthrough. The manuscript's secrets began to unfold before us, revealing a narrative that was as shocking as it was transformative. One evening, as the library lay cloaked in the quiet stillness of night, Emily and I sat hunched over the manuscript, our eyes scanning the newly translated passages. The air was thick with anticipation, the only sound the soft rustle of pages as we turned them with bated breath. The passage here, Emily said, her voice barely above a whisper. It speaks of a great division. It's described as a cataclysmic event that was witnessed by Adam and Eve themselves. I leaned closer, my eyes tracing the lines of text. A division? Between what? Emily pointed to a section of the manuscript where the text detailed a celestial event, one that seemed to signify a profound separation. It suggests a split, not just of land or people, but of realms. A division between the divine and the mortal. The implications were staggering. This was not merely a story of creation, but of a fundamental change in the nature of existence itself. The manuscript described a time when the boundaries between the divine and the earthly were blurred, a world where humans and gods interacted freely. This changes everything, I murmured. my mind racing with the possibilities. If this event really happened, it would mean that the story of humanity is far more complex than we ever imagined. Emily nodded, her expression a mixture of awe and disbelief. It explains why this was hidden. Such knowledge would challenge the very foundations of established beliefs. We continued to decode the manuscript, our excitement mounting with each new revelation. The text described a world that was both familiar and alien, a place where the first humans had witnessed events that defied explanation. It spoke of a knowledge that had been deliberately obscured, a truth that had been hidden from history. As we pieced together the narrative, it became clear that this was not just an alternative history. It was a revelation that could reshape our understanding of the past. The manuscript hinted at a society that had existed before recorded history, one that had been erased from the annals of time. "What do we do with this?" Emily asked, her voice tinged with both wonder and trepidation. "This knowledge is powerful, but it's also dangerous." I considered her words, the weight of our discoveries settling heavily on my shoulders. "We have to be careful," I replied, "but we can't keep this to ourselves. The world deserves to know the truth." Emily and I spent the following days compiling our findings, documenting every detail of the manuscript's revelations. We knew that sharing this knowledge would be fraught with risk, but we were determined to bring it to light. As we prepared to present our discovery, the sense of danger lingered. We were acutely aware that there were those who would do anything to prevent the manuscript's secrets from being revealed. Yet, despite the threats, we remained resolute. One evening, as we sat in the library, Emily voiced a thought that had been on both our minds. "Do you think this is why we've been followed? Because of what we've uncovered?" I nodded, the truth of it undeniable. "It's possible. Whoever is behind this knows the significance of the manuscript. But that only makes our work more important." We decided to take precautions, ensuring that copies of our research were stored in multiple secure locations. If something happened to us, the truth would still find its way to the world. The day finally came when we were ready to share our findings. We had arranged a presentation at a small academic conference, confident that it would be the safest way to reveal the manuscript's secrets. The room was filled with scholars, historians, and a few curious onlookers, all eager to hear what we had discovered. As I stood before the audience, a mix of excitement and apprehension coursed through me. I glanced at Emily, who gave me an encouraging nod. Together, we had uncovered a truth that had been hidden for centuries, and now it was time to share it with the world. Our research has led us to a discovery that challenges the very foundations of history. I began, my voice steady despite the tension in the room. The lost book of Adam and Eve is not just a myth or an alternative narrative. It is a record of events that have been deliberately obscured, a revelation that could reshape our understanding of humanity's origins. As I spoke, I felt a sense of liberation. We had faced countless obstacles, but we had persevered. The truth was finally coming to light, and the implications were profound. The presentation was met with a mix of skepticism and intrigue, but we knew that the seeds of change had been planted. The manuscript's secrets were out in the open, and there was no turning back. The revelation of the manuscript's secrets at the conference was a watershed moment, but it also marked the beginning of a new chapter fraught with unforeseen challenges. As Emily and I navigated the aftermath of our presentation, the reality of our situation quickly became apparent. We had stirred a hornet's nest, and the consequences were swift and severe. In the days following our announcement, we were met with a barrage of reactions. Some scholars were intrigued, eager to explore the implications of our findings. Others were skeptical, dismissing our work as speculative at best. But the most concerning responses came from those who were vehemently opposed to our revelations, voices that were not just critical but hostile. Amidst this whirlwind of attention, we received an unexpected visit from someone we had considered a trusted ally. Dr. Michael Harris, a respected historian and a colleague who had expressed interest in our research, reached out to us with a proposal. He suggested a collaboration, offering his resources and influence to help us further our study and protect our findings. Initially, his offer seemed like a lifeline. Michael had a reputation for integrity, and his support could lend credibility to our work. However, as we discussed the details, Something in his demeanor set off alarm bells. His eagerness bordered on desperation, and I couldn't shake the feeling that his intentions were not entirely altruistic. Emily and I decided to proceed cautiously, agreeing to share only a portion of our research with him. We hoped that by involving him, we could both gain an ally and keep a closer eye on his true motivations. A few weeks later, as we continued our work, disaster struck. Emily and I arrived at the library one morning to find our workspace in disarray. Papers were scattered, books were missing, and most devastatingly, the original manuscript was gone. Panic set in as we realized the enormity of the loss. "How could this happen?" Emily exclaimed, her voice a mixture of disbelief and anger. I scanned the room, my mind racing. Someone knew exactly what to take. This wasn't random. Our thoughts immediately turned to Michael. He was the only person outside our circle who knew the full extent of our research. The sense of betrayal was overwhelming, but we needed proof before making any accusations. Desperate to recover the manuscript, we reached out to our network of contacts, hoping to trace its whereabouts. As days turned into weeks, our efforts proved fruitless. The manuscript had vanished, and with it, the evidence of our groundbreaking discovery. The sense of loss was profound, but Emily and I refused to give up. We still had our notes and partial translations, enough to continue our work, albeit with a heavy heart. We decided to confront Michael, hoping to glean the truth from him. Meeting him in a quiet cafe, we laid out our suspicions. "Michael, the manuscript is missing," I began, trying to keep my voice steady. "You were the only one who knew where we kept it." He feigned shock, his eyes wide with feigned innocence. "I had nothing to do with it. Why would I jeopardize everything we've worked for?" Emily leaned forward, her gaze unwavering. "We trusted you, Michael. If you know anything, now's the time to come clean." There was a moment of silence, a tension hanging in the air as he considered his response. Finally, he sighed, a hint of regret in his eyes. "I did what I thought was necessary. You don't understand the forces at play here." His admission was both a relief and a confirmation of our worst fears. Michael had betrayed us, driven by motives we could only begin to comprehend. He spoke of pressure from powerful individuals, people who had a vested interest in keeping the manuscript's secrets buried. "You're playing a dangerous game," he warned, his voice low. "There are those who will stop at nothing to keep this quiet." Despite the betrayal, Emily and I remained resolute. We were determined to continue our work and find a way to retrieve what had been lost. The manuscript's secrets were too important to abandon, and we were prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead. In the following weeks, we redoubled our efforts, reaching out to allies and exploring every possible lead. The betrayal had only strengthened our resolve, and we were more determined than ever to bring the truth to light. As we navigated this new landscape, we learned to be more cautious, trusting only those who had proven their